The riding season is beginning and maybe you want to give this whole gravel cycling thing a try. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys my 5 beginner tips for going on your first gravel ride, riding some mixed terrain, all that good stuff. Welcome back, Pathless Peddlers, and if you're new to the channel, if you love the non-competitive side of cycling, gravel exploring, winter commuting, the supple life, you have found your people, hit that subscribe button. And if you like content like this, consider supporting the channel via the PayPal and Patreon links or by buying some new patches that I literally put up on the store this morning. So looking through the comments, there is a fair number of viewers that are gravel curious, haven't tried it yet, and want to know how it's different from road cycling. So with no judgment and assuming nothing, these are my 5 newbie tips for riding on gravel roads. So the first tip is this notion of the gravel tax, or the idea that riding on a unpaved surface is just a little bit more taxing than the paved equivalent. There's a couple reasons for this, partly because of terrain. There's just more rolling resistance, more obstacles. Also steepness. Gravel roads tend to be a lot steeper and do a lot more climbing than their paved counterparts. So what that means is when you're going out on a gravel ride, to expect that it's gonna take slightly longer than the paved equivalent. So you should adjust your expectations in terms of distance and speed. The closest thing I can compare it to is trail running versus running on a sidewalk. If you're running in the street or the sidewalk, you've got a pretty consistent surface. It's generally not gonna be too steep, but when you're trail running, your paved times go out the window just because the terrain is so dynamic. And that leads to tip number 2. Gravel riding is pretty dynamic. Not quite as dynamic as, say, mountain biking, but definitely there's a lot more things that are going on that are changing than compared to a road ride. Probably one of the biggest differences is tire air pressure. It's not uncommon for me to change the air pressure in my tires multiple times on a ride. Let's say I'll pump it up a little bit firmer on paved sections, but when things get really rocky or rooty, I'll let a lot of air out. I often carry with me some kind of air gauge and, of course, a pump. And if you've never ridden on a wider, supple tires before, I typically don't go over 40 psi, and that's actually pretty hard. I usually start around 35 psi and work my way down, so I may run 30 in the rear, but 25 or even lower 20s in the front. And another thing that's very dynamic is the road surface. You'll go from paved to smooth, what's known as hero gravel, to chunky baby head stuff in the same stretch of road, maybe multiple times. Also, the road surface may change from year to year, depending on maintenance schedule and the size gravel that they use to kind of re-gravel the road. So the third tip is to prepare for the worst. Unlike paved road riding, chances are if you're on a remote gravel road, there's not gonna be a whole lot of traffic going through there to help bail you out. So be prepared. Usually I bring a full-on repair kit, bacon strips if I'm running tubeless, spare tube, a patch kit, definitely a pump, and a multi-tool at the very least. I also tend to bring a little bit more extra food than compared to a paved ride. Again, knowing because we might have to turn around, there might be some kind of obstacle or things that are just steeper. Another way I like to be prepared is also to bring multiple mapping tools. So I may map the route out on my main GPS unit, but I will also download offline maps that I can use to redirect the course in a pinch on my phone using either Google Maps or using an app like Gaia. And one last aspect of being prepared, especially if you're riding a gravel route that's new to you or you're scouting out a new route, is being prepared to hit a dead end. It might be that you're following a route on Google Maps, and when you get there, you find that it's impassable for whatever reason. It might turn into a private road, or there's a big down tree or slide or something. So gravel riding, as opposed to pavement riding, is very fluid, and it makes sense to prepare for those situations. Another tip, especially if you're new to this, is to be rather chill on the descent. If you're going down a steep descent that you're not familiar with, definitely take it easy. You don't want to go too hot and find that there's a corner at the end of the hill, or find that the gravel gets really loose while you're going at high speeds. Especially if you're starting out, I suggest taking the gravel descents nice and chill. And the last big tip is to be aware. Yes, gravel roads are awesome because there is little to no traffic, but that doesn't mean that there is zero traffic whatsoever. You may encounter the occasional logging truck, or you might run into others that are enjoying the area, either ATVing, off-roading, whatever. So even though the chances are low in encountering traffic, I still generally ride a gravel road like I would a paved road, staying on my side of the road, kind of constantly scanning both ahead and behind me for unexpected traffic. So I hope those tips were helpful and that they'll get you out the door to explore your first mixed terrain gravel road ride. Let me know how it goes. Do you guys have any other tips I missed? Leave those in the comments below. If you have any other questions, don't be afraid to ask. And as always, keep the supple side down.